Hello, everyone. Looks like we are live on the first Meet the Audience live stream. And as you know, we already have like over 60 live stream gaming videos. And so I thought it's time to listen to you guys. Do you have any feedback, or are there any games that you would like to see? So I would like to know what kind of games you like to play, or if there is any level that we haven't played yet that you would like to see, or if you have any other comments. For example, I didn't like it, or it was too boring, or it was really interesting, but you should do something else in the meantime, or whatever. So that's why we have just organized this new live stream session. So as you can see, there is no game in the background. This is just a fairy tale place, and um, obviously you can use the chat to talk to me and say what you think. Now, this is of course the very first time, and it wasn't scheduled, so it will take some time to have some people coming in, but that's okay. Um, I would like to. I hope that everybody can actually hear me. I hope so, because yeah, I think this is the quality of the sound is perfectly fine. Okay, well, good. All right. So it's gonna take a while for you guys to arrive, but that's perfectly fine, as expected. Now, in the meantime, maybe we can just have a quick look on the different types of games that we have been playing. One of the most successful series until now has been Total Annihilation, and Total Annihilation is obviously a classic game from the 90s, from 1997, I suppose. Yeah. And it's still being played. And some of you guys have notified me to say, hey, Matt, wait a minute. It is still being played with even patches and some mods. And there is an open source platform for that. Why don't you just do it? And I was like, I'm not sure, because the gamers that are actually playing there, I believe that they are way better than I could ever be, and they would destroy me instantly, I suppose. Now maybe it's fun to show you how I get owned, but yeah, maybe that's something. Yeah, well, now that I think about it, well, maybe we should try it one day. I forgot what the name was. It was something with TA, mod TA, or online TA. I forgot. Anyway, so never mind. I would also like to thank, by the way, all these new subscribers of the past weeks. We are now 2 months into production, and we already have around 1,400 subscribers, which is better than I expected. So I would like to say thank you so much, especially those who helped me with the advertising, with the promotion, and yeah, I wish that more people would watch live. But of course, I'm not a real professional gamer when you compare it with the real esports that you can see on television. But that's okay, because all of these esports are usually based on Counter Strike or FIFA. The FIFA 22 is there are even world championships on that in esports. You can even bet on those live stream on those sessions, on those esports matches. I never do that, um, but yeah, I'm not in that league, of course, and that is a huge difference with my channel, between my channel and those esports channels that you can obviously also find here on YouTube. Well, uh, let's just have a look what kind of games that we have been playing. So I already talked about Total Annihilation, but there were some more. Another one that actually did surprisingly well was Theme Hospital. and not everyone is familiar with Theme Hospital, of course. But the good thing about Theme Hospital is that that was the start of other games in that series, which have the ambience of creating a hospital, earning a lot of money, and playing around with fictitious diseases and so forth. There was a viewer, but he just left. It's okay. Yeah, like I said, it's a new session. It's unannounced, so I guess I'm just gonna have to wait until I show up in people's recommendations. But that's okay. So I was talking about Theme Hospital, and after Theme Hospital, we had some different other games being developed, and they came out, but they were less successful. And the thing is, with Theme Hospital, what makes it so attractive is not that it has superb graphics, but the gameplay is really, really nice. And it's not that complicated. I mean, you only have that many rooms, you only have that many diseases, and the process is always straightforward. So you need to do research, you need to train your doctors, and but it's always the same. Like a patient comes into your hospital, goes to the reception desk, gets assigned a GP office, and goes to the GP office, then does eventually some more diagnosis, then gets the treatment, and then leaves. And in between, a lot of things can go wrong. For example, they can get the wrong treatment, the wrong diagnosis, and they die, and that hurts your reputation and so forth. But when you, for example, have a good strategy on research, then your research department will continue making the improvements on um, your medicine, on your diagnosis equipment, but also on your cure equipment, and so forth. Now, also the things that can go wrong is, for example, epidemics. For example, if your hospital gets very, very dirty, then of course you get rats, you get epidemics, and you have to deal with them, and your staff is unhappy, especially the handyman. They start complaining and say, "Oh, I'm so unhappy. Give me a raise or I leave." Or sometimes they just leave anyway. Whatever you do, and you have to keep on hiring new handyman all the time until the problem is fixed. Now we had, as you could have seen in the sessions of Theme Hospital, we had some serious problems with those epidemics. But then finally, we found the way out of it so that we could actually overcome every epidemic. And then we could finally manage to finish the green pool level. We haven't done the next one after green pool because I've been playing Hitman 3, and also I spent one session on Airline Tycoon Deluxe, which was yesterday a very, very, very good success. It had received a lot of views and some likes, and we only have one session so far from Airline Tycoon. But after Airline Tycoon Deluxe, we played some more Hitman 3, but also what was it again? Portal 2. Portal 2 yesterday. We did two sessions with Portal 2. We played in total 3 hours of Portal 2, and it was a really great success. Many people loved it. Looks like I have another viewer, and I would like to say welcome. And please do say hello on this live stream session. Unfortunately, he just left. Well, of course, there's not much to see. This is just a talking session, so it's normal that people say, "This is not what I'm interested in. Let's go." But that's okay. Uh, you know, um, maybe let's change the background for a minute because maybe people are confused and they don't know what this background is saying or doing. What can we do about that? Uh, well, I also have something like a spotlight. but that doesn't really do anything. You see, I do have some spotlighting, but there's nothing in the spotlights yet. Maybe I should play some viewers there. Okay, let's uh, let's change the media source once again. There is an ancient house deep in the rocks at Rain, and that's this one. Well, it's not that fancy. We're moving away. Yeah, that's not going to work. Obviously, let's change this to Ferry House on the lake again, like we're used to. Good, very very good. Okay. Uh-huh. Well, obviously, we have to wait a bit for some chatters to come up. In the meantime, we can just keep on talking about what we have done so far. So maybe let's change the scene to a desktop scene. Hold on, guys. Let me just handle this for a minute. Uh, I need to add my desktop capture so you can all follow along. That's me. Okay. Um, what was I saying? Yes, obviously. So here is our YouTube channel, as you can see, and as you see, the most popular upload this month was Factory Gaming, the ones where we got the flying robots ready. It was a session of like 7 hours, which was quite long. However, it also attracted the most views, so many people really loved that session. Another one was the Total Annihilation Two Continents on difficulty hard. That also had a lot of attention from people. So the Total Annihilation series went really well. Now the question I would like to ask all of you is: would you like to see more of the Total Annihilation series, or should we continue with the Hitman 3? Now, I have a roommate who tells me, Matt, why are you, for God's sake, why are you doing old games? Why don't you do the newer games? And I had something like, but there are already so many live streams about, the newer games, and Total Annihilation was such a great game in the 90s. Many people loved it. So shouldn't I do something new? And, well, the thing is that I couldn't keep on playing Total Annihilation all the time. It would get boring. So that's why I also have this Hitman 3 series. But then we also had these Papers, Please series. However, it's it's a quite a short game and it doesn't take that much time to finish it. Then we also have the Let's Play Tower 3D Pro. But the problem was that most people who came actually to watch it thought that it was a real airport. They thought that it was a real live stream of Atlanta Airport with real ATC, but that's obviously not the case. It's just a game, right? So yeah, that's something that was quite confusing. Then we actually start with the Let's Play PC Building Simulator game, which also had quite a lot of success. However, the problem is that um, it's not that visually attractive, especially not for prolonged time. So it requires a lot of thinking. I mean, you can see, um, you can watch how the PC is being assembled, and that can be interesting because you get some information about the different kinds of video cards, different kinds of CPU units, motherboards, and so forth, and how to cool it. For example, the water cooling was very interesting in that series. But at some point, when you're already familiar with that, then the novelty gets away from it. It's not that interesting anymore. I mean, you don't see explosions or beautiful worlds where you can travel to, or yeah, there is no fierce battle that a lot of gamers really like, and that's a bit of an issue. So let me check it. Oh my, it looks like it's. I'm not sure if you can actually see it correctly, but it looks like it's all mirrored. Yeah. Hmm. Anyway, well, you're gonna have to do with it. Maybe it's easier if you can't read it. Never mind. Never mind. Okay. Obviously we have some more playlists. So what we have, for example, is the Portal 2 playlist, but there are only two sessions of it, Airline Tycoon Deluxe and the Emergency Fighters for Life series. But the problem with the Emergency game is that it still contains some bugs, especially when you try to play it on Windows 11. Right, so that's why I stopped doing it after the first session, just because it's annoying when the game crashes. Now, Airline Tycoon Deluxe also has some bugs, but not as annoying as in the Emergency Fighters for Life series. Okay, then the drug dealer simulator that we did was really a lot of fun and very exciting. But the problem is that because it's about drugs and we're talking about, you know, several forms of drug trade, it is marked by YouTube as not safe for advertising. So the monetization possibilities are quite limited with Drug Dealer Simulator. So I will only do it when it's asked by the community. So if you would like me to do some more, then please let me know, and then I can play some more sessions with Drug Dealer Simulator. Okay. Yeah, all the others are some private playlists right here. Also, like videos that's obviously private, right? Okay, so um, I'm going to my fairy tale scene back. Okay, so now you have seen how the different things were going in terms of sessions and in terms of the choice of games and why some games didn't receive as much attention as other did. But right now I'm at a point that I was thinking maybe it's time to let you help me to choose some new game. I have a good friend which name is Casper, and obviously he's not watching right now because it's 4 o'clock in the morning in Belgium. But he also recommended me to play Oxygen Not Included. And Oxygen Not Included is a game on Steam. And let me just check if I can open it and we can watch it all together. And I think, yeah, we can do it. If I'll go back to desktop view, here we go. Okay, so as you can see here, we have the Steam store and Oxygen Not Included is is apparently a very very nice game. And my friend Casper explained to me like, Matt, this is a game that also requires um, a lot of decision making. So you really need to decide what to do and so forth. But actually, I'm not that familiar with this game. Uh, for the record, I'm not getting paid or anything to show you this. This is just general information about the game. I'm not endorsing the game in any way. I don't know if it's fun to play because I don't have it yet. If you would like me to play this game, then let me know. I'm not sure what it's all about. It's about a space colony simulation game. Deep inside an alien space rock, your industrious crew will need to master science, overcome strange new life forms, and harness incredible space tech to survive and possibly thrive. Okay. Looks like there's an entire bundle from the developers, Clay Entertainment. That's probably Korean. Yeah, they have a lot. Like Don't Starve Together. I remember that. Don't Starve Together was published in 2016, I believe. And I never played it, but I saw some trailers of it. It was several times on the Steam sale, but I never really paid attention to it. However, when you see all these franchises, including Oxygen not included, then when we can see that it's overwhelmingly positive and really a lot of people played it, it means that 2D games are still not dead. So you don't need to have a fantastic 3D game to make an awesome game. You can have a perfectly fine game in 2D or in isometric perspective. For example, Theme Hospital was in isometric perspective. Roller Coaster Tycoon is also in that perspective. Uh, this one is simply 2D apparently, with a lot of interesting cinematics. Yeah, well, it looks like you're watching Cartoon Network, and apparently that's why people really enjoy playing this game. Okay. What else can we do? Well, I can show you the different games that I own and that you can maybe help me to choose for the ones you would like to see. For example, we have The Sims 3, which is also one of my absolute favorites franchises. Now, I once had a friend when I was back at university, and I was talking about The Sims 3, and he said, "I'm not interested in that game. That's for girls." And I was like, "What? Sims 3 for girls? Why would you say that?" Apparently, that was some guy with some really old-fashioned ideas, like what is for men and what is for women, and as a man, you can't play women games or vice versa. I was like a really weird way of thinking, but okay. Then we have 35 millimeters. This is also a very, very nice game, but it's quite short. Gameplay is not too long. After a couple hours, you're finished with it. It's built on the Unity engine. Um, oh, by the way, it looks like the developers have been creating new stuff that I'm unaware about. Well, anyway, one of the most disappointing games so far is this 112 operator, or the 911 operator version. Well, it's not that bad, but after a while it gets boring. I mean, you need to assign just units on a scene to go to respond to a call, and that can be anything from a traffic accident to a robbery, or someone who is in medical emergency, and stuff like that. It's um, it's quite interesting though, because you learn what it takes to be a 911 operator, and that it's absolutely not easy to do this well. So, for example, I once had a medical emergency in this game, and I received a call from a guy who was panicking and said, "Look, there is a woman here, and she's not breathing. She had fallen on the street, and she was no longer breathing, and blah blah blah." And I had to help him to do the CPR on that woman, and unfortunately, I gave the wrong instructions on how to do that, and so the woman died. And that was apparently my fault, because if I had given the right instructions to do the CPR correctly, then she probably would have made it, right? Academia School Simulator. This is a type of game that I really dislike, and it all has to do with the fact that you have these puppets who are just moving around. It's also 2D, but more like a top view. And I was like, oh, it's absolutely not realistic, and it's annoying because they just move along, and I don't have the feeling that it's something nice. Anyway, the same thing goes for Airport CEO. Airport CEO also was a game like this, and I actually I gave a review of a negative review after 10 hours of playing, and I said a big disappointment. Let's have a look, because I know that it received a lot of comments. or not anymore. Well, it was before anyway. This could have been so much better and more realistic, and above all, more fun if it was done well. I remember Airport Incorporated about 20 years ago, and that game was a far better airport sim game than this awful Airport CEO game. And the most annoying thing in this game is lack of space. You can only add 3 to 5 more areas, and even then, it's not enough to make a real fascinating airport, which is actually quite true. So, if you maybe you're well, it's actually already a long time ago. Airport Incorporated or Airport Inc. Dot was a game that I played by coincidence, and I really loved it. And my older brother used to bully me and displace my terminal blueprints, and I couldn't build terminals from those blueprints, so I had to always reinvent new terminals, which was a real pain in the ass. But okay, but that was a really not beautiful game, but it was realistic in the way that you had to manage emergencies, you had to manage air, yeah, air passenger flow, and the contracts that you could actually negotiate contracts with airlines. So you got like an airline master contract who would pay you a lot of cash, and then they would have like subcontracts for each flight that they wanted to carry out on your airport, and you could actually negotiate. So they made an offer. Okay, so these are your standard tariffs of the airport. Okay, this is what we want, and then you could say, I disagree with this, I disagree with that, that one is fine, and so forth. And then you would send it back to them, and then they could send an updated version back to you, and then so back and forth, back and forth. Or sometimes at some point the airline said, "Well, you know what? Let's forget about it. We're no longer flying to your airport," and then you lost the customer. So it was always thinking like, "Oh, how am I going to do this?" But sooner or later, you get that profitable airport. Now, the problem with Airport Inc. was that at some points you had a bomb on a departing plane, which destroyed your reputation. And that was also the thing that you need to adjust the level of passport checks. So, would they do it reckless or would they do it cautiously? And if you would do it too cautious, then the queues would get too long, or um, your staff would get exhausted, overworked, especially with the air traffic control. You could also choose somewhere between reckless and cautious. And if it was too cautious, then they were overworked. Then you actually had to adjust that slider. If it was too reckless, then okay, everybody could fly very quickly into your airport, but then there were sometimes accidents on the tarmac or in the air, even, and so forth. So it's always a trade off that you had to make in that game. And that's the trade off that I was missing here in Airport CEO. And that's why I'm no longer playing it. Okay, Airport Madness 3D. I'm going to install that because maybe it's a good idea to actually show this to you. Airport Madness 3D is a game where you obviously have to run an airport, but you can't build anything. It's just some basic arrival and departure that you can do. And it's really basic. It's casual gaming, and you will see why. If I would play this game, and I play this right here, then oh my goodness, I'm gonna make it a bit less noisy. Okay, play. Kingston, Jamaica was my favorite, or still is my favorite. Um, I'm not sure which one it was. I think Runway 30. Building traffic. Okay, so what you basically did was you send them to the runway. This is Jamaica Kingston, so it's actually quite easy. You only have one. And now what you basically would say is, hey, get flying. So you could give some basic commands. For example, here we have one arriving too quickly. All right, here he is. So I asked him to extend so then these guys have a bit more time to arrive, to depart. Oh, looks like we can already make him land. I forgot to assign departure to him, so that's okay. Hold short, hold short. Expedite off. And then you could say immediate takeoff, immediate takeoff. I'm going to raise the height of my tower. Yeah, that's also a problem in this game that when they overlap, then you can't click the buttons below it. Okay, take off. 1.7. So let's make him go faster. And by adjusting the speed, you can give them uh, the best possible space to help them arrive. Yeah, sometimes you got those annoying tweets that don't mean anything. And then after some time, so it gets busier and busier and busier and busier until you're no longer able to do it correctly, and then obviously accidents happen. So you would always expedite off. You had the Airbus 380 in this game, which is really, really nice. Okay, so this one should go faster. Actually sit inside them. See, and then you can watch a bit. See, it's very low poly. It's really just a casual game and nothing more than that. But it's fun. Here we get into position. See, and then we would just arrive. So back on the tower cam. This one will be ready in a minute. Here we go. Expedite off. Expedite off. Traffic rate is then increasing and so on. Well, you get the hang of it. Okay. Exit. I'm getting tired of it. But that's actually how the game works, right? So another game that is actually one of the worst games ever, but I actually did complete it, was Airport Simulator 2014. That was a disaster. Okay, then we have the Assassin's Creed Banished Caesar 3. That's also an old game that was actually really, really, really fun. Maybe I should do this one again soon or later. Carmageddon, I'm not sure that YouTube will allow it because it's quite gore with a lot of blood and, I mean, riding, driving people over and stuff like that. Uh, Yeah, let's have a look. Euro Truck Simulator 2. I remember that there are a lot of YouTube channels who have live streaming enabled for this game. Maybe I should do it the same thing. For example, the developers often have a broadcast here where they explain the different types of trucks that you can have and so forth. Um, I have it installed. I can play it anytime if you want to. But let's have a quick look. Gas Station Simulator was a bit of a disappointment. Gets boring pretty quickly. Then we have the Grand Theft Auto series, obviously, which is actually maybe a good idea to play. But I've played it so many times, and everybody knows this game, so I'm not sure if people are actually interested in seeing me play. Then I would rather prefer to play Vice City because that's more of a classic, and this was really the big start of the GTA series. First, you had GTA and GTA 2 and GTA 3, which were nice, but GTA Vice City was a real game changer because the artificial intelligence of the people on the streets and the cars and everything were improved a lot more. It was more beautiful than GTA 3 was. And you know GTA 2 was just a 2D game, and then GTA 3 was the first time it was in 3D. But Vice City was the real first 3D GTA third person game that really took off. And then after this we had GTA San Andreas, GTA 4, and then GTA 5, and now it's almost 8 years ago, or maybe even 10 years, that it's been quite a while that GTA 5 was released, but that's okay. Half Life Blue Shift is a game that I'm planning to play real soon. Half Life Blue Shift is my favorite because this one has a happy ending, so you can actually escape the Black Mesa research facility in this game, as you know. And unfortunately, that's not the case with all the others. There's some other games like Microsoft Flight Simulator X. There's a lot of live streaming on that one as well, but the problem is that it gets boring after a while. So, for example, you taxi to the runway, you take off, but then you have like a whole hour of just flying around while there is absolutely nothing to do besides maybe some radio control, but that's it. And then you just obviously have the landing, but if you use ILS, it's actually quite simple. And that's why I always told myself like maybe it's not that interesting for YouTube, because we already have a new flight simulator out since a couple of years that is a lot more beautiful and also a lot more interesting. So then I would prefer playing that one instead, right? Papers, Please, I already explained that. PC Building Simulator as well. Portal 2, that's one we played already. Prison Simulator, that is. I actually had a fight with the developer because I gave a bad review, and so the developer actually added me on Steam chat, asking me for feedback and what is not going well, and I explained about the tremendous amount of bugs in the game, and then he promised to fix it, and I since then I actually never played it again. So maybe it's okay now. The problem is that it gets boring quite quickly. I mean, you have like those mini tasks in the simulator. So um, one day you have like um, cleaning the cafeteria, or supervising the meals, supervising the yard walk, supervising the new inmates coming in, and even sometimes doing the execution of a prisoner. If someone is sentenced to death, then you need to actually switch the electric chair on and stuff like that. It's actually quite creepy, but it's always the same. There's not much new to do, or you don't get to have personal relationships with inmates. It's yeah, I don't know. After a while, I was tired of it. Project Hospital is actually a really fun game because it's highly realistic. Because you have like a morning shift and an evening shift. I believe it's at 8 o'clock until 8 a.m. and then so from 8 a.m. in the morning until, was it now 8 o'clock or 6 o'clock? I forgot. Anyway, but there is you have the day clinic, and then obviously the emergency and surgery and stuff like that. And you can build anything you want and hire staff to help you out. But I always fail to make good money to pay everything and everyone. So I always failed it. Now it was still in um, when I played it. It was still in early release, so you were supposed to give feedback, which I did, and they actually fixed some of their bugs. But after that, I never played it again. So maybe this might be a good candidate to add to the series, right? Um, Railroad has been boring. I mean, it's very interesting that you can create these tracks and switches and stuff like that, but they're not real trains. I mean, it's just lines and cubes that are just moving around, and after a while, I got tired of it. Sim Airport is a game that I never actually played because it's the same as the Airport CEO game, like those puppets. You have this top view, and then it's the exact same setup as Academia Simulator and Airport CEO, and now this one, Sim Airport. Also, the prison simulator. Where was it? I have Prison Architect. That's the game. Yeah, Prison Architect is also on that exact same principle, like a top view, and then you have the same way how to build walls and doors, and the people in it, they just move like flowing. They're not actually walking or so, but they just fly like ghosts over the floor. And yeah, I really didn't like it that way. The Stanley Parable is also one of those classics. I mean, it's really fun when you figure out all the different things that you can do, but it gets quickly boring. And that's basically it for my Steam collection. However, I have also been checking out some PlayStation games, by the way. So one of the PlayStation games that I played yesterday was Gran Turismo 1, the very first Gran Turismo ever. If you're familiar with Gran Turismo, then you know that this game is around for already 25 years, like a quarter century. And we're now on Gran Turismo 7 already, I think. And it's getting more beautiful, more realistic, more anything. But the thing is that the very first game is still really, really nice, and it's available for free. We have the PlayStation, so then it's legal to have the enhanced PSX emulator. So we do own multiple PlayStations. And I think if I just run Ice, so this is Die Hard trilogy that I tried yesterday, but it's more like a casual game. Seriously. Okay, so then we can play this thing. By the way, I'm going to open my phone because in this setup I can't watch my own live stream, so I'm gonna open YouTube here and then I can follow along with what you guys are all saying. By the way, it looks like I need to hide this thing. Then we're good to go. V is start. So yeah, I've been playing this for quite some hours yesterday. I got my first license, the B license. Oh, looks like my phone is still making stuff. So unfortunately, the screen is not too big, as you can see, and there's not much that I can do about it because when I, for example, do full screen, then only a part of it is visible. So maybe next time I can try to make it bigger, but it's quite hard because, as you can see, the dimensions of a TV are different than that of a computer screen. So what I did is I purchased the GTO 95 MR and I already tuned it. And at the oh no, not this one, license. So I have this one already. Now I should be doing this thing, and then I can have the A class licenses, and of course the A international is for later. So maybe if you would like to have a session or a series on the Gran Turismo 1 game, then please do let me know. Okay, so I'm gonna exit this emulator. Okay, and then we say final exit. Okay, so I think it's been very interesting. We have spoken about some different games. Unfortunately, nobody has been chatting to say what they would actually like or what they are thinking about the current series. But that's perfectly fine because it was unannounced. And you can always come back and watch this live video over and over again and then post your comments and say what you like, what you don't like, if it's boring or if it's interesting. You can just let me know. Okay. So I think it's time to conclude this very first session of the Meet the Audience series. And I hope you guys will leave some comments to give some feedback and your favorite games. And then we can play your favorite games as well. Okay. So thank you very much and hope to see you again real soon. Bye bye.